Welcome back, students. If you'll remember last week, you read an information book from the learning calendar, Legs, Wings, Fins, and Flippers, right? And that was about animal body parts that all had to do with helping the animal move. And then this week, I showed you this cool book. I read this to you that I had called Fur, Feathers, Scales, and Skin. I'm still waiting to hear from you guys about what these body parts have in common. I've heard from 2 students so far. I'm not going to reveal the answer yet until I hear from a few more students. So we started off by reading the fur book because it had the absolute cutest kitten picture ever. And today we're going to move on to feathers. Feathers. And on the cover I see a goose. A goose. So this is Feathers by Jennifer Boothroyd. And this is a Lerner publication. Feathers. Feathers are light body parts. Birds are covered with feathers. There's one side, and there's a beautiful peacock with his tail all spread out, showing his beautiful feathers. Feathers grow from a bird's skin. Soft and fluffy feathers keep birds warm. Okay, so I got to stop and think for a sec. Feathers grow from a bird's skin, right? I know that. Soft and fluffy feathers keep birds warm. Okay, so it's saying that the soft ones are to keep them warm. Feathers used for flying are strong. They help keep birds moving in the air. So I have to stop and think for a minute. I'm making a connection to some other learning we did where it had a body part and it was talking about 2 different kinds of that part and how they do 2 different things. So in this case, there are soft, fluffy feathers that keep birds warm, but there's also a different kind of feather, that is stronger, that is used for flying. Okay, so I want to make sure I understood the difference between different kinds of feathers. Ducks have feathers that help them float, and some birds have fancy feathers. Okay, so there's a duck with her little duckling, and there's some birds with fancy feathers. I'm trying to be careful for the glare on the book. Feathers are many colors. Some feathers change color in different seasons. So there's some fancy colored feathers, all different colors. And here are feathers on a bird that change based on the seasons, based on the background. I think this is an example of camouflage. You remember that? Some birds take baths in water to clean their feathers. Other birds clean their feathers with their beaks. So there's a bird taking a bath, and this one is using its beak. Birds pull out old or broken feathers. They also shed feathers. Wow! I'm making a lot of connections to our learning about fur. I remember in the fur book it said some stuff like that too. Feathers can help birds hide. Feathers help birds survive in their surroundings. No, let me go back. I think I didn't show you that picture well enough. There's a bright green bird, and there's a bird shedding its feathers, shed their feathers. And that looks like an owl whose feathers are helping it hide. Feathers. Feathers used for flying are strong. Each feather connects to the bird's skin at the quill. The rachis is a hollow tube. It is in the center of the feather. Barbs branch out from each side. These make the vein of the feather. On each barb are tiny barbules. The barbules hook together. This makes the feather smooth and stiff. Wow, those are a lot of science details about the parts of a feather. And look, here's a diagram showing the parts of a feather. So there's the vane, I guess is the whole thing. The rachis is like the spine. The quill is the part that goes in their skin. And then there are barbs and barbules are the parts as you go out to the edge. And look, this is a close-up. It zooms in to show you a close-up. Here's some facts about feathers. Here we go. People need special permission to collect bald eagle feathers. Feathers are made of keratin. Human fingernails are made of the same material. For centuries, people used feather quills for writing with ink. In many kinds of birds, the male has more colorful feathers than the female. The feathers of flamingos change color depending on what they eat. A penguin has short feathers. They are very close together. They keep water away from the penguin's skin. Ooh, I bet that's to keep them warm, right? Because it's so cold where they live, and the water, you don't want cold water to get close to the skin. Some hummingbirds have fewer than 1,000 feathers. Some swans have more than 25,000 feathers. Wow. So those are facts about feathers. And here's the glossary. Beaks, the hard mouth parts of birds. Feathers, light body parts that cover a bird's skin. Shed, to lose or fall off. Skin, the outer covering of a person or animal. Survive, to keep living. And there's the index. So that's an example of a picture glossary. It has pictures as well as words, as well as text to explain what those new words mean. So I've got to do something at the end of my book, and I'm just amazed at the connections between fur and feathers. You know, I want to look back in the fur book actually now, and there are 3 things that I remember that were kind of interesting that came in this book too. So one of them was how there are different kinds of fur, like there was fur that was soft, fur that was long, and depending on what the fur was like, it did different things for the animal, right? And same way with feathers, right? There are feathers that are soft that are to help keep birds warm, but there are also different kinds of strong, kind of longer feathers that help them to fly. That's interesting. And there's something about the coloring of fur and feathers, right? In both cases, the coloring of fur and feathers, the special coloring can help the animal camouflage or hide from enemies or predators, right? Camouflage, right? Anyway, so that was feathers. That's what we read today. So I'm hoping to hear from you about a few things. I'm still hoping to hear from you guys about what is there in common about fur, feather, scales, and skin. And also I mentioned yesterday about what are some of the different things that fur does for an animal. We talked about today how it might keep them warm. Same with feathers, right? What can fur and feathers do for animals to help them survive? Okay, so please send me an email with some of those details that you can remember from the books. So I hope you have a chance to get outside again today. There's a little lull in the rain, a lull that's like a little pause in the rain. Please be sure to keep washing your hands, cover your coughs and sneezes, do some reading and some writing, help your family around the house. And I miss you guys. I love you. Elbow bump.